topo or whatever. In this case, the name is topo surface. So you can click on topo surface, and even this is it's different. In the other option, in Revit 24, we have this menu and we can draw rectangles and lines and splines. And here we don't have this, we just have points. Okay, so the only thing that we can do is to place points. So let's place 1, 2, 3, and 4 points randomly and click finish. And now let's go to the 3D view. The 3D view, it's the same. It's a tiny house here. Okay, so that looks like something similar, but actually it's not. Let's go back to site. And if we select this, we see that this is a topography. Okay, so you see that we have a topography here. And that topography, we can edit surface. And if we edit surface and we select one of the points, here we have the elevation of the point. Okay, so you see that by default, we are working with elevation 0. We have elevation 0. We have 0 and 0. Okay. But now I can keep placing points. So I'm going to do it again. Let's finish. If you have this, you have to select edit surface and place point. So here we are still on level 0. I want to go down. Okay, so I want to create like a mountain, and that's the top of the mountain, this square or this rectangle. And if we go down, then the elevation has to be negative something, negative 50 feet. Okay, so it's negative 50, and I'm going to do a bigger rectangle, and you see what happens. And then we click OK. And if we go to the 3D view, we have created this mountain, 50 feet tall. Okay. The other way, you mean to went up or what? Yeah. Okay. Click on that point. I did the small rectangle at the top and the big rectangle at the bottom. Oh, got it. Okay. Okay, let's do it your way. So if we are inside and I'm working with negative 50, and the negative 50 is the small cancel. Okay, I'm going to go to topo surface, start with negative 50. It doesn't work because I don't see that. It will be on the 3D view. It's here, okay? And then I go to I edit surface. It doesn't have to be in the site plan, so I can do it here. And then I place another point and I make it at level 0. And then I do this and I finish. Okay, so you see that here we have like a mountain and here we have like a hole. Very good. Yes. Okay. Okay. So, oh, by the way, having this scope box, it's good because you see those levels are here. But if I want the levels, if I want to connect the levels to the scope box, I have to select the levels. Then I have to select scope box 1. And now all the levels are connected with that scope box. All the levels? No, because some of the levels are underneath the scope box. So make sure that the scope box it's big enough, and then select the levels again and connect this to the scope box. Okay, so that looks nicer because having the levels in the middle of nowhere. So now if our building is going to be within this scope box, and the level, the grid lines, everything is connected to the scope box. It looks nicer, and we understand where we are. Okay. Well, so this is how the topography in Revit works. So I have to create lines at different elevations. I'm going to delete all this. Okay, and let's start again. I'm going to make it bigger because I think it was too small. So let's try to do something more complicated. So let's go to topo surface. By default, we have elevation 0. We have elevation 0, and we are going to go down. Okay. So I place a point, and I'm going to create a shape that it's like more complicated. It's a nightmare. Okay, so you will see that it's I don't like it, but okay, so I'm done with this, and then I'm going to go 1 foot down. So type here -1, and then I can go this way. Like this. Let's finish to see what we are doing. Let's go to the 3D view. And well, we have created 2 contour lines. One contour line, it's 1 foot above the other. We can go. Usually when we receive a file like this, we have like different contour lines. The first thing we have to understand is if we receive an image, okay, imagine that you receive this thing. So what's that? Well, first we have to analyze these numbers. So we start with 284. This is 283.8. This is 283.6. This is 283.4. So this is the top, and then we're going down in this direction. Okay. So that's it. This is an abstraction. I mean, we don't have contour lines in the real world. We're not walking down the street. Oh, contour line. We don't have this. So this is an abstraction that human beings do to understand in a 2D paper something that it's 3D. Okay, so if you think about it, it's weird. So that's the meaning of the contour lines. Okay, so this is the real elevation, and then we project this on a 2D paper. So that's the contour lines. The highest value, it's the top of the mountain. And then if this is 100, 1400, 1300, 1200, 1100. Okay, so we are going down. So here we have only 2 contour lines. One is at 0 feet, and the other one one is 0 feet, and the other one is -1. If we want to go faster, then we have to edit the surface and place point. And instead of going 1 foot by 1 foot, if I do this -20, so it's 20 feet below the first level. And then if I do that, I click finish, and I go to the 3D view, and you see that I can see that I'm creating a mountain. Let's click here, edit surface, and I'm going to go radically down, -100. And then I do this. And then I click finish. I go to the 3D view, and you see that I have created a mountain now. Okay, so that's the topography. It's difficult because if we can edit the surface every time, but those dots or those points, they are not related to the contour lines. You see that we have points here, so we can actually select points and we can modify the contour lines. See, but it's quite complicated to understand what we are doing. Okay, so we can always modify those points. So don't be afraid of doing something wrong, because that's why we are testing this file, because it's nothing. Okay, so just try to control those points there. Okay, so let's look at this. When we have something like that, nature, it doesn't have angles, sharp angles. Nature, we don't have this kind of straight lines in nature. So how can we change this? We can edit the surface again. We edit the surface, and if we add points, but then we have to add points, we need to know where we are adding the points. Okay, so if the lowest line is -10, I can always add more points here, and I can try to change things, but again, sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. But the more points we're adding, the more natural the contour lines will look like. Okay. But again, it's quite. Okay. What happens? I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to edit surface. What happens if I have a -10 thing, a -100 thing, place point, -100, and I'm doing it here. Look at this. What the hell have I done? Whoop. Okay. What if I want to go up? So if the highest point was this, I place another point, and now I'm going to type 100. 100 here. Whoop.
Like a real mountain.
I know what this is, but I don't like it. So instead of 100, I'm going to do something less crazy. Let's say 20. And if even 20, it's weird. Whoop. Okay, complicated, and this is probably not what I want. Okay, so we have to be careful, because it's difficult. Probably if I make this 0 contour line bigger or wider, what the hell is going on? Oof. Oof. It's let's click this, go to site, and I'm going to edit surface. I'm going to place point. 20, maybe it's too much. Let's say 10. So with 10, I can do this. And well, that looks more natural. But it's difficult. Okay. So you have to try many things. Open a blank file and try to do something on your own, because it's you have to try. Okay. When we are creating something that goes from the top to the bottom like this, it's easy. I create something small here at the top, something big at the bottom, and then it does the contour lines. But when I want to include different levels or things that go up, then go down, then go up again, it's quite difficult to understand what we are doing. How can we visualize the topography? To visualize the topography on the 3D view, we have to use the section box. So you see that here on this properties, or no, on this browser, no, properties, sorry, we have this section box. Okay, so let's click on section box. And this is not the scope box. So the scope box is this green one. It's connected to the levels or the grid lines, but the scope box, it's something that cuts the drawing like this. Okay, so if we,
Where was this again?
it's in properties,
Properties,
scope box, no, section box here.
properties, second box.
Yeah.
You
So if you, what?
just click on the, which,
Uh,
oh, section, oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, so you click on the section box and then you can drag the, okay, so if we have the section box here, we can see actually, we see the profile of this topography. We see that there's a mountain here and there's a valley and then there's another mountain there. And yes.
No, but this is good. Who cares? Get all the. You mean yeah, we're gonna get your PhD.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that I've just been speaking it for 30 years.
What's that? Yes, I get it. A little bit younger than you, but we've been here for years.
That's right. There's a strategy.
It's the whole theme.
Right, it's not.
And I myself the same way they have about you.
Yeah, it's doing a nice job across the street.
It's super flat, right?
Yeah. I mean, they've taken the time, but. Like cool.
This is literally just walked over to the site over there.
Yeah.
And it's sir. No, you stood there for like 10 minutes. This is for the past surveyors. Sorry, have a good one. Construction site looks like. But somebody's like, what's the benches so high? Well, then that look dirty. They made it for 12 people. Yeah. Yeah. There's pretty lines. They seem odd, right?
You know what? I already have a
Yeah.
guy who's showing up Monday.
Yeah. Got poor.
Man, I already need all the concrete.
Yeah.
Maybe able to.
Yeah. Look silly calling it that. Rush has like, well, then for Indiana, the grade needs to be like It is. It sounds like too much. And it wasn't until afterwards. What it is. For that kind of it's I hope for with the sums. I really wanted to be. More easy. Focus on energy. I just want those. So we can fill out this application.
I just want. I mean, the person.
I mean, I think this semester's now. This semester's probably recent. Last semester, one of the yearly expensive. It's like design.
That's true.
In the layout. Yeah, you just find the layout of the apartments, and then the whole thing was just those apartments. So I guess it was, yeah. Maybe a little less intensive about it. But it was still. Yeah, so I put together a presentation at the end.
I think it grabs what you took 4 design classes. We'll count that as 2. You know what I mean? Like hour-wise. I think that would be the most fair.
Everything I got you ads.
I was thinking about you, man. So it's so close.
Yeah. And the fact that they're already saying,
Yeah.
said it was 2 years there for 3 years.
No, they have the best interior, the money English teachers there too. Really? Yeah, they get the best cab.
No, it's not. Did that?
Yeah.
In the country. You know what, I did, I went on a few months ago, the different thing that works there. And she said the same thing, I didn't believe what she said. Well, she didn't say the same thing, she said, well, people are always great about everything. I guess there's like there's not a shitload of restaurants there.
Yeah, but
Like restaurants can't keep.
they still offer like ridiculous.
Click on the advice.
Other expensive.
Yeah.
But not as bad. That's no,
How is that
a
going?
little bit more than keen, but worth it.
What's the new campaign plan here?
I guess free right now. Last year's like 20 it was like kind of unlimited soil. So you didn't have to go.
Oh. I can see the, oh, no, it's not gonna matter. I was gonna say the new thing.
Oh, no, it's not.
But it's not gonna matter, because I think you said, it's like. YMCP off campus, CC, that's not me, you get. How many is that?
Oh.
65 divided by
1,060.
Yeah, there's no.
1,016.
Right behind it.
1,000.
160.
Yeah, I think here's it.
That's. Yeah.
What happens if you don't use it all?
Then they get popular.
Oh, that's like the old. That's not, that's good, if you eat.
You're not gonna get that.
Presidential. Right, but what's the difference between off campus? Oh, that's.
Unless Maybe it's unstable.
I mean, if it's as good as it says, it's still worth it. I mean, yeah.
We're just exploring things, so exploring and find something worth here.
I mean, supposedly.
Number one, wow, but 6th year. Not good.
Yeah. But we're number 12 in the region. So
Ooh. But there's the region.
I think the region has 8 colleges.
Yeah, it's all colleges.
Yeah, they said we're in also like 5th or 8th or something.
Professionals. Are we like the only two here?
No one asked me. So. Oh,
Oh, is it? Another.
yeah. Ricky. Huh? National Guard? Yeah.
Another. You want to start talking to your boys out there?
They're on my boys. There's the army coming there.
Their guards over there too, didn't they?
Really?
I thought it was just
I didn't even get a chance to go open it.
Oh, so you said that's not right, right?
Wow, that's.
Yeah.
It is in the Air Force, so is that even?
Yeah. Like, no, I got one. Better than this.
One time, I cut my finger on a stapler.
I was on Fort Bragg in the Polongi Air Force Base on the other side back when I still was in Sim. And they're something way nicer than ours, like substantially. And they got substantially more.
No.
I don't think they're bears are the second sea bears.
Yeah, that's not-
They're narcotics.
No, that's normal. That's not.
So we are becoming familiar with this. It's not easy. So probably Revit 24, I think it's easier. So that's why I can understand it, because I'm sure that they have fixed a lot of things that were too complicated in Revit 23. So I have to study Revit 24 because I don't know what they have done. But that's the only way to understand what Revit is doing with the topography is to create topographies, try to do something, it won't work. So try to do it again. It's quite complicated to understand what Revit is doing. Some hints or something we can do if we want to see more lines. If we select the topography and we edit no, it's not even selecting the topography. If we have the side view, the floor plan side, it's not the 3D, it's the side. And we go to massing and site. And for example, here you click model site, this arrow going down. You see that the contour lines are at intervals of 10 feet. By default is 10. We can change this to 1. We can apply, and there will be a lot more contour lines. Okay, sometimes we need 10 feet, sometimes we need 1 foot. It depends, but that's the way to change it. If we want 5 feet, type 5 feet, apply, and now it changes. Again, what's the standard? It depends. If we have a flat topography, if we have contour lines each 10 feet, we don't see any contour lines, so then we use 1. If we have a mountain and we have 1 foot, there will be a lot of contour lines. So it depends. Whatever looks nice, it's the amount of lines that you have to do here. Okay. So that's the way. We have to go to massing and site and select this arrow, and then we have this menu with the settings, and we do that. What else? Okay, something that it's quite useful. Let's go to the site and let's click here subregion. And I haven't found this subregion in Revit 24, so I need to find out where this is, the subregion. So the subregion, we can imagine that we are creating a road on this topography. We can draw lines. It has to be a closed loop. Don't forget that it has to be a closed loop. And then click OK. And we have two different surfaces. We have this, and then we have that. And I can assign this a different material. Okay, so if you select this shape, if you go to material, and we select whatever, all the horrible default materials that we have here, wood. And then you go to the realistic view. Okay, so you see that we have two different materials. If we want another thing, whatever, we can go to subregion. We can create a rectangle like this. And then we click OK. And on the 3D view, we have a rectangle, but it's adapted to the surface. And then we can select this and we can create a new material for that. Okay, so that option, it's quite useful, and I like this in Revit because it's quite good, this option. Okay, so again, remember site, subregion, and I don't think I've taught this before, so we can work with straight lines, we can work with rectangles. There's an option which is the spline. Okay, so select spline. So if we want to create a road with soft curves like this, so spline is the option. Okay, then you can move to straight line again, and then you can do something straight, and then you work with spline. So when we want a shape that it's smooth and organic, we can use the spline, and it's spline. You have to select the subregion, and this one, spline.
Select the subregion.
Okay, so well, spline. This subregion option, it's quite good because we can trace something, or we can if we are looking at Google Maps, for example, if we want to trace the roads or whatever, we can use the subregion option, and then we can have roads, or we can have different things on the topo lines. Okay, so this option is quite good. The other useful option that I didn't see in Revit 24, it's a building path. So let's click on building path. So the building path, it's a path for a building. Yeah, so it's the footprint of the building. So we will create on a topography that it's yeah, it doesn't have flat areas, so everything is curved or curvy, or we have this topography. We create a horizontal surface. So with this, we can select the line again, and I'm going to do something simple, just a square. And now let's look at this on the 3D view. You see, we have created like a horizontal surface, but this is when we want to select this, you can select that, and you select the topography. Okay, But if I want to select the building path, I select the building path. You see the difference between selecting the topography and selecting the building path. So with the building path, we are on level 1, height offset 0. If we look at the elevations, so there is level 1, and by default, I have created this horizontal surface on level 1. I can change it if I want to change it to level 2. We go level 2, and then we you see that I can change the level. If I change to level roof, so it goes up. If I move it to level 04, you see that we move it down. And if I change the height offset, for example, to negative 20, you see what happens? It's like I have created like it's horizontal, but at this point it's above the topography. So it's a solid element. And here I have created a void. Okay, so that's cool because when we are working with buildings, we need a horizontal. So we don't have the building foundations, it's not in a tilted plan. So we have to dig until we find the horizontal plane where the basement is. And then upon this horizontal plane, I can start building the rest of the walls. Okay, so that's very useful in terms of this Revit topography. So again, let's try to do it again. We have site, go to massing and site, create another building path, and create a building path with splines. Okay, so if we create something with curves like this, it has to be a closed loop. You see that if there's a gap, it won't work. So, and sometimes with the splines, it's difficult to close that gap. So I'll use a straight line and do this. Don't like it, but anyway, working with splines is difficult, especially if you want to close this. And now we have a building path that it's a curve. And now I can lower it down to negative 100. And then I create like a hole. If you want like a swimming pool or whatever, you can do this. And here you have the space for the swimming pool. Okay, so, but that's the difference between the sub-region and the building path. With the sub-region, we don't change the topography. We don't change the elevation of the contour lines. With the building path, we change the elevation. Okay, so we create a horizontal surface, and that affects the topography. Are you good? Okay. So keep working with this, become familiar with building paths, with sub-regions, and I'll try to find out in Revit 2024 where the hell is the new features. I want to see the building path.
If you go to Revit and you press F1, it brings up like a whole bunch of stuff. I think that's where it was.
It's the illusionists. Yeah, I mean, oh, wait, like, I'll actually be able to think of something like, that's not just bullshit.
Okay, so you get into the serious things.
Well, I've done these things, I thought I was in the middle, but it gets.
That's true.
Oh, you can at least feel like I was. Like, not like, oh, it should have been over for someone else.
I came up with that colorful, a small. But I found a picture.
Walk down North Shore. Oh, look, boathouse.
Turn left.
Looks good to. Looks good. For me. Turn left. Kayak inside. Yes. They like. See? Right now.
Building type. Okay, so we have a tutorial here on Revit Toposolid. This is Balkan. Yeah. Okay. So we can do it in Revit 24. And apparently we can do this with modify. Toposolid shaping, subdivide. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the idea. Okay, the menus have changed, but we'll figure it out. Okay, Let's try, because now the challenge is to open a given topography and insert the barn. Okay. Sure. Sure. Let's do it. So we are going to open this topography that I inserted here. So download this file. We're going to open it with Revit 24 to make it more difficult. We have to upgrade the model. Probably it's done in 22 or 23. So let's upgrade. Yeah, let's open this model with Revit 24. And open your barn. Okay, I'm opening your barn, son. If something doesn't work, it's your fault. No, don't worry. Okay, so that's the topography. Well, this topography is not crazy as the things that we were doing. It's I think there's a river here, and it slopes up or it slopes down, depends on where you look at. Here we have a building pad, and look at this. If we select this, we have the topography, but I think we can select the building pad. Okay, and we can edit the boundary. Okay, so it works. So there are building pads. Good. So we have a building pad here, and we have imported this building pad from other version of Revit, and it's actually a building pad, and we can edit boundary. And if we can edit boundary, we can change the shape of this building pad. Like this. So keep it here, okay, because probably we'll need it. Well, I found something weird in this file. Who gave you this, Paul? Or
Yeah.
Okay. I think there are two topo surface. We have this topography here, and then we have this topography there. So we have two topographies. That's confusing. So delete this one. We don't need this one at all. So delete it. Okay. And there's another thing that I don't like is the levels here. So let's use the things that we have already learned. Here we don't have the scope box on level 1 because we have imported this file from something that it didn't have a scope box. So if we go to view, I hope to find the scope box here. Yes, we can find the scope box. So let's create a scope box that it's well, it has to be bigger than the elevation marks have to be included on this scope box. Okay.
So where was it under view?
It's in view scope box here.
Yeah, you have to be in the site.
And now the levels, look at this. This level is just in the edge of the scope box. So make sure that the scope box includes all the levels. Okay, so everything has to be included in the scope box. So let's select the level and let's select scope box 1. And now the levels are consistent with the scope box. It looks better because now levels are relevant for what we are doing. Okay, so remember that the goal is that we want to insert our barn into this topography. And this is something very realistic. You will have a file and then someone will send you the topography. So you either create your topography on your own in the file in which you have the building, or you try to merge the two buildings. We are going to do something difficult with it, which is merging two different buildings created from two different people. So it's complicated. So we have to analyze this file. Okay, so I want to analyze the levels. If I go to the front view, What are the levels? We have level 1, 0, and level 2, 10. I want to open the barn. Okay, so let's open the barn too, upgrade the model. So this is the barn. Now this is confusing. Look at this. I have 3D. This is the topography. I have 3D. That's the barn. Revit didn't solve this. When you have two drawings open at the same time, there is no way to differentiate which because if we open level 0 on this one and we put it here. Okay, so we have level 0 here, we have the barn, then we have 3D, it's the topography, we have level 1, it's the topography, we have the 3D view, it's the barn. Confusing. So try to, when we are working with two different files, make sure that all the drawings that are to the left belong to one drawing and those belong to a different drawing.
So how did you move those around?
Move it like this.
You just click on it, drag it.
Yes, click and drag. But if you drag too much, you see that you have a different window. So you have to go back to this.
Okay.
Okay, because if we're going to merge two different drawings, levels are relevant because you can have different levels with different names and different elevations. So that's why naming levels, it's very important in this world, in Revit. So what are the names that we have here? We have level -1, level 0, level 12, level 20. And then we have all this shit. Okay, so let's get rid of all these levels. Okay, so this is the first thing that we have to do. When we open level Revit 23, Revit 4, we don't have these levels there. Okay, but we have now -1, we have 0, we have 12, and we have 20. Okay, we have to select everything. So to select everything, if we are working on a level and then we select this, we have selected only the elements that we have in this level. We have columns, we have studs, we have the floor maybe, but the roof is not selected. Okay, so you see that we have selected all these elements, but the roof and the truss is not selected here. So if we want to copy this file to a different file, we have to make sure that we select everything. The only way to make sure of that is working with the 3D. Okay, so work with the 3D, right view or the other view or this one, and just select everything. Okay. And then go to level 0. So we have selected everything. We didn't select the grid lines. We could have done it, but so far, let's try just with this. Control-C, copy, and then open level 1 on the topography. We don't see the topography because it's we have the view range. We have a problem with the view range or whatever. And then Control-V. Click OK. And we have this. We have to click twice. Okay, so I don't know why, but I tend to match these two dashed lines here. And finish. Okay. We have the barn on this level. Let's open the 3D view and where it is. Well, it's not that bad. I think we haven't lost any information because this is not finished, this barn. So it was submitted last week. Okay, so the file is not finished, but we have walls, we have all that stuff. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that now Revit understands that the elevation 0, look at this, it's not the name of the level, it's the elevation. Okay, so we had this and the elevation was 0. So level 0, it's 0. Here on this 3D view, it's level 1. So it's the elevation that matters. So Revit understands that there's the same elevation. It's 0 here. Okay, so this level 0, elevation 0, the elevation is what matters. So when we import this, Revit finds that the only thing that matches it's that elevation 0, because that one it's 10, and in our file it was 12. Okay, so level 2 it's 10, and we had here level 12. So it doesn't matter. We have level 0. So Revit, level 0. Let's match level 0 in 2 drawings. So that makes sense. Okay, so we need to understand what Revit does. So that makes sense. But is this what we want? Well, maybe. So what can we do with this? So we are in the 3D view. No, the 3D view of this one. So since we have a building pad, we are going to, if we select this, we can modify the topography, but we're not going to modify the topography. We want to select the building pad. So if selecting the building pad, it's something difficult, because here you see we do this and it's the topography. If you press tab, we select topography or we select the pad. Okay, so here we have selected the building pad. You see? Let's edit boundary and let's try to make the building inside the boundary. If we select wireframe here, we can select or we can change the building pad, and we can do this. What if we go beyond the topography? Let's find out. Doesn't work. Okay, so we can't extend the building pad beyond the topography. So we have to make this line there. Continue sketching, and then we have to move this line within the topography. And if we do this, I think, what the hell? Lines cannot intersect each other. The highlighted lines currently intersect. Oh, because, yeah. Look at this tiny. Okay, we have to be very careful. So if we do this and finish, now it works. So let's see what we have done. Let's use hidden line. Well, yeah, we have a building pad, but only the roof is standing out from this. So I think we have to select the building pad, and let's make the height offset 0. Okay, that's it. And I think we can, yeah, I think that's level 0, okay, because we are on that elevation. So do you get this, or okay? Is this what we want? I mean, do we want to dig a hole in the topography and put a barn inside that hole?
Well, raise the fish.
No wind, yeah, okay, so maybe you want to do that, okay. But what if we don't want to do this? What can we do? What if we want to move this above the floor level? It would make sense, okay. So let's try. I think I'm going to get rid of the barn file. because I have already copied, so I don't want to save it, and I only have my my barn here. Okay. So let's see what we can do. We have different levels here. I'm going to do it from the east elevation, I think, yeah. So from the east elevation, I have this, and this is what I want to do. Okay, so I want to imagine that I want my barn just slightly below the topography level, but at this level here. Okay, so I want to copy my barn and I want to move it up. Let's see if it works. So I select everything here. I move from this point. If it doesn't work, I have to remove the constraints. So you see that we can move it only in this direction. If I remove the constraints, maybe it will let me go up. It doesn't. Okay, so I have to try to make Revit happy. So let's try to do the same thing from the 3D view, right view. Okay, so I have opened the 3D view. I have opened the right view. So let's try to do this. I'm selecting the whole barn. I move from that level. I remove the constraints and it doesn't let me do it. So what do I do? Give up. No, that's never an option. Not now. I mean, in a couple of hours, maybe I'll give up, but not now. Okay, so it's not easy.
Oh, Tony moved it, some of his.
So you moved it or
Only
what?
half.
Yeah, he moved like
Only
that.
half.
Yeah. a little bit.
And how did you do it?
I just highlighted it and moved it up and it only took like the roof and.
Yeah,
Some of those stuff.
but using the 3D view or the elevation or what?
Yes, 3D view on the right side.
3D view on the right side. So you actually moved it. Move. And it worked for you. It doesn't work for me. Remove the constraint. It doesn't work. Son of a bitch.
Oh.
Oh, what?
I don't know. I'm wondering if it isn't because you like, it's like halfway merged with the bottom of the pad.
With the
Is it
building
like-
pad.
Are you sure you're clicking
Yeah.
on the right button? Like to move it up, because I found I can't move it on certain levels, but other ones I can.
Yeah, but I selected these multiple categories. You can move the topo down. Okay, we have to be resourceful here. So can we move the topo down? Yes, we can. Good move. Okay, whatever works. I mean, if Muhammad doesn't go to the mountain goes to Muhammad. This is what they say in Saudi Arabia. I don't know what they mean, but that's what they say. So if you can't move the building up, you can move the topo down. Well, I'm not happy with this. Okay, so you can. So that's giving up for me. Okay. But I want to.
Oh.
Well. You saw it that way.
No way, I saw it. No, don't do it again. And how did you do it? Okay, so tell me.
I highlighted everything going from the right to the left,
Yes.
and then I deselected the topography,
Uh-huh.
and then I just dragged it, and moved it up by hitting shift.
Okay, so we can,
No,
let me try. So I have this.
yeah,
Can I move the levels?
what I did then was I held shift, I got rid of everything I didn't want, and then I just dragged up the barn and.
Okay, so I think the key is to select the levels and move it. If we select everything, including the levels, and then we move the two levels up, it works. Okay. Are we here? Do we have a barn on this topo surface and it is above the topography level? No?
So, you know, you could be teaching.
I know. I played stupid.
Even you plenty of extra work. Yeah, so, okay, go for right here. Okay, select it from left to right. My name is Selectman. Yeah, okay, deselect our list. You got a whole lot of talking about. Deselect all that shit. Because deselect everything. You can't have just the bottom one. But I'll show you, okay, I'll show you on mine. Okay, yeah, now hit control, click on your levels. This guy, that guy, and the one below it also. This guy, yep. Oh, yeah, okay, you're in the move zone. Yeah. Yep. Easy. Hard to do. And we're done at 3:30.
See you guys later, just print out my delivery.
Yes.
Tell you what, I won't show up, I'll just keep mailing you payments.
Yeah, just keep taking that check.
Slapping and realistic, wow.
That'll be $4,000.
Following recipe was the first time I was making turkey, and it was before it. I'm thinking that. Cup of soy sauce, half a cup of Worcestershire, half a cup because they're. Oh, well, pineapple juice.
Pineapple's good, it's got an enzyme, pineapple that breaks meat down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been sending pictures of the jug, everybody like, oh, they last night went good, we got this for the next one. And then red pepper flakes, regular pepper. Honey. That's not good. And then, like 3 pounds of venison, all sliced and big old venison roast. The big roast, I got another one. I was thinking about doing like a funny herb with it. Like making it up. So we're not having. Put a ton of maple syrup last year.
Yeah.
Or from. This, yeah, a lot of things. This, I think, I got it. It's great. I like doing maple syrup, but like I don't usually do so much. I've never had it.
Never need it.
What bourbon? Like, I don't know if I need to buy a nice bourbon to make sure.
Yeah.
Bourbon. How do you get to all your?
Go to your dashboard. And then to where that little bell is, it's the icon to the left.
Oh, I'm still good. There you go. I'm doing all right. Most of my other courses are even on free.
Just all right.
Yeah, considering there's been just nothing, but like attendance and administrator and stuff.
I have one class that still hasn't even graded 8 and assigned.
They didn't grade those. Oh no, they said grades. Yeah, dude, it's no grade for no effort.
I wrote one thing that
Why do you?
Although I don't know. I took them for really interesting.
I can redo this quiz once it.
Oh, is that good?
I can redo this. I'll probably. I'll read it.
Yeah, once you use it for studying at the end, so I'm like, is that the one we just did together? I mean,
Yeah.
What should we yell at? Oh, yeah, I was gonna say. Moisture, temperature of air, moisture is bone saturated. Sorry, the ratio. That would be.
Sometimes I just get.
Did you not go to pilot school? Part of aviation, because if you get frost on your wings, it's gonna break that airflow. It'll be all off and you get a lift.
I don't know, I heard that pilots don't even know how planes fly. There's no real science behind it.
It's not about the plane creating a lot of. The top of the wing makes the air go over it faster. When it hits that angle, and then it creates almost a vacuum of the low pressure area and lifts the plane up.
And then with the chemtrail that they're spraying the poison salt.
Okay, what I said is actually true. And so is what you said. I'm glad we're speaking truths.
I've seen the videos on QAnon's website.
That's actually how
Yeah.
Since the sail isn't sort of the wind, I mean, the wind does push too, but on top of that, the sail makes the airfoil. That the wind goes over and creates that low pressure.
I
Yeah, oh, that's for the servants to deal with. He would say, I think it's no crew. Remember when we were eating those crab balls or whatever those? Actually, the taste, the first taste of the sea. Like, I just wanted to shut the fuck up. It's like, dude, come on. This is what I mean. Like, it's not heavy. I actually carry my own sails. Made of truffle.
You don't have. Truffle in your pocket all the time.
Truffle and what's that super sad?
Yeah. Marinating.
The state of a global being. Very hard to arrive.
But it's only collected. Make great.
Yeah, it's gotta be flexible.
Okay, so we do not, well, we're not done. At least we have the barn and we have this. So the goal, we are not going to do this today. Okay, so you can, if you have not finished the other assignment, you can work on over the weekend to finalize the assignment. If you have, you can have a free weekend when it comes to this course, okay? Or you can keep going and you can keep trying to do things with the topography because you see that it's weird. And it's not that I'm teaching you how to do something with the topography. We will find a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors, a lot of things that we don't understand. And so, I don't know. To be honest, I don't use topography in Revit. I hate it. But sometimes sometimes we have to do it. What I mean is that if we copy the path, this is something that we can do, and then we have two paths, okay? And if I modify this elevation, so the height offset from level 1 can be 10 feet. Okay, so that's what we have. Then we use the section box, and with the section box, we can have a section of the 2 levels. So that's it. Okay, so that's what I want to do. So I'll record the video over the weekend, and on Tuesday, next Tuesday, you will be working with this because we need 2 buildings. We need a building here, we need another building here. You can copy the same barn, and the goal is to create like a path at different levels with ramps and stairways and different platforms to connect these 2 buildings, these 2 building paths. When we are working on a slopey area, this is what we have to do. Okay, so we have a building here, we have another building here, there, and we have to connect it. What is my goal? My favorite place on earth is El Restaurante Boa Nova in Portugal.
You guys gonna go there?
Eh?
You guys going there?
No, it's in Porto. It's not in Lisbon.
Why go to Portugal?
But this is it. Okay, so that's the place, wonderful place. So that's what I want to do. Let me want a bigger picture. Okay, but you see, we have 2 buildings here. We have a church or whatever. This is the restaurant, and this is the parking lot. So, and this is a slopey area with rocks, the Atlantic Ocean, wonderful place. So you have to go from the parking lot, and then with these retaining walls and these ramps and whatever, you end up being you end up connecting the two buildings. Okay, so that's the goal of this exercise. So we have, and it's not just connecting platforms, we have like staircase, retaining walls. So we will do something like this, okay? But this is it, we have a topography, which is natural, and suddenly we introduce something that is artificial, and it's just connecting different levels. So that's a great way to solve the connection between the parking lot, this thing, and the other building here, just by working with this topo surface. So that's the goal in Revit. If we go to Google Maps, I think we can go to Maps, and it's not in Keene, New Hampshire. Google Maps. Portugal. Okay, this is it. Okay, that's the what? I was but not over the last weekend. I've been here. I told you this is my favorite place on earth. Wow, that's not one of my favorite. But